Greetings, everybody. I'm Jir Anderson, and I'm your host today with Native Guitars Tour Behind the Mask. Every Thursday, Native Guitars brings you exhilarating live interviews with today's top Native artists. We bring you the genre of music Native Americana. Yes. Contemporary music from the indigenous people of America who tell their stories in modern styles of music. From blues to rock, jazz to metal, punk to hip hop. So tune in each week as these musical superheroes take off their masks for a one-on-one, safe, social distance interview from the Badlands of South Dakota to the red sands of the Navajo and Pueblo lands from the Southwest and beyond. I'm going to take 1 minute to tell you a little bit about Native Guitars Tour, and then we're going to get right into our discussion with today's Behind the Mask artist. Yes. Native American musicians have a unique story. We come from tradition, we come from community, and we are doing amazing things globally. From blazing electric guitars to prodigies of violin and cello, the Native guitar community is on the move, and we want you to join our journey. Visit us at nativeguitarstour.com, where you can link to our Instagram, Facebook. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and be a part of this wonderful experience. And tonight we have an amazing artist all the way from the Pueblo lands of New Mexico. He comes from Taos Pueblo. He's also Navajo. He's a singer-songwriter. He's a filmmaker. He was out in Nashville where he studied film, and he's currently in Barcelona, Spain, working on music and being creative and getting the Native perspective out to the European community. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, Mozart Gabriel. Let's give it up.
Hey everybody, my name is Mozart Gabriel. My parents really did name me Mozart. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for having me. So I just got done playing The Many Lines of Your Shapes, which is an original song of mine. It's for me, and I wrote it for my girlfriend, Haley. She's this fantastic artist who painted this painting of David Lynch in our apartment. Pretty cool. All right, so let me think what we can do next. I have 2 new songs that are coming out, so they are just finished. I'm working on an album at the moment. It's called Eager Within the Fire. And I'm really excited to share it soon. If you private message me right now or after this this video, I will send you a downloading link and you can have a listen of an early release. And yeah, super excited. A lot of the music has been being mixed and mastered and finalized in Nashville, which I'm really excited about. I lived in Nashville for the last before Barcelona for like 3 years. I did music videos out there, and it was just the greatest place, really just the greatest place to listen and study music. I didn't get to perform out there, but I got to learn from some of the best musicians out there.
Yeah, I love Austin. We've been out there for the past 4 years for South by Southwest, and it's just an amazing place to be. Just
Yeah.
Like you're saying, just full of the arts, and it's embracing.
I never been to Austin.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking Nashville.
Yeah. No, they're. I hear that they're kind of similar in certain ways, but yeah. I mean, like the one thing I loved about Nashville is like the first time I went there and I moved there, I ran into the Black Keys. And I got to hang out with them and that for like a little bit, and that was really fun. And then I got to run into like a lot of my favorite bands. Became friends with a good friend of mine who's in Yellow Card, Josh, who's a bassist in there. And then I got to meet like some of my other favorite pop punk bands like Newfound Glory. I ran into Vanessa Carlton at the 5 Spot, and I gave her my respects and said, I really loved your music when I was in high school.
She plays the piano song, right?
Yeah. Think about wait. You know what's funny? I do a very there used to be karaoke nights. I used to sing that song, and they'd be like, "What's this guy gonna sing?" I was like, "Making my way downtown, watching." And they sing it in that like very girly voice, And I'm just like, what is this guy's deal? I was like, do, no, I need you, and I miss you. And then I would get really hardcore about it, and people would be like, oh my God, yes. So,
I like that song. And the video production you got to appreciate because it was so simple and told such a great story.
Totally, right? Yeah, she makes a lot of her other albums have been like really good. I really love her music, and some of it's funny. Like a lot of my influences kind of go around from everywhere. I think when I was younger, I really loved Hanson, Enrique Iglesias, and Vanessa Carlton. Like the things you wouldn't expect me to like, because my genre changed, and like my influences now are so like it's like Misfits and Against Me and Joan Jett, especially. Joan Jett's like my huge hero, and yeah, a little bit of Goo Goo Dolls and a little bit of Snow Patrol, and so it's like it's really funny having that transition. But that's what I love about music, is that I think as you get older, you go through these changes, and I'm glad that I found punk later in my life because I know how to play music better. I'm glad I can write punk music.
Yeah.
Well, it's still fresh for me.
Yeah. And you just got to really appreciate any artist. I mean, even if you don't think, country, or you don't like pop, or whatever the genre is, the amount of time and, artistic energy that goes into a song is pretty amazing, and you just got to appreciate it. I mean, I think as musicians like you, you can appreciate that. And so I listen to everything. I mean, it could be pop, could be kids songs, could be, whatever it is. And I just take it in and love it.
Yeah. I hear you. I think it's important. I think it's great. I mean, as musicians, it's important for not only you write it, but you perform it. And for them to get to that point, I think it's really, really great. And you're hearing a lot of collaborations. I mean, especially when you listen to different pop songs, there's all those different songwriters. Like there's that documentary about the Bluebird Cafe, and then there's all those different songwriters who can't really sing, but they write songs for those big country artists, those big pop musicians to sing for. And it's a beautiful collaboration that you appreciate and you respect, because they've been through something, and then the musician hears it and it's like, I can relate with that, and then they're able to portray it, which is a whole different
and you got the best education there, being in Nashville. I mean, that's like the songwriter capital of the world. It's just so much talent out there, and just people just, I mean, and then it's kind of like that saying, be around the people that you want to be like, and it's just artists around each other sharing that environment. That's
cool. I like that.
It's got to be amazing. Experience for you.
All right, I'll play you a song and then we'll get back to chatting.
Okay, sounds good.
This one's called Across Seas. I've been waiting to suggest to call you. Something's telling me that you wanted to. It's been a while since I've seen it dance, and I take a seat and I'll play what I can. Pretty girl, won't you dance your feet? It's that I who's moving me. Something's telling me that it's not too late. Still got a chance to make that heart stay. Why don't you take a trip across the ocean, and I'll show you what you've been missing. Don't be scared, this stage is yours, and I'll take a seat and I'll play some more. Pretty girl, won't you dance with me? It's not hard, who's moving me. Something's telling me that it's not too late. Still got a chance to make that heart stay. Pretty girl, won't you dance with me? It's not hard, who's moving me. Something's telling me that it's not too late. Still got a chance to make that heart stay. Well, it's been a long time since I've seen your face. I don't know how you've been. We can dance along with my fingers pace. But do it again. Well, it's been a long time since I've seen your chance to make that heart stay. Pretty girl wants to dance with me. Isn't that all moving me? Something to tell me that it's not too late. Still got a chance to make that heart stay. Still got a chance to make that heart stay. Oh, pretty girl, gonna let it say.
That sounded great.
Hey,
You know, I really enjoy your style. I mean, it's so fresh for me, you know. And I know some artists from Barcelona and Spain.
Oh yeah.
And do you feel like that has influenced your sound at all?
No, actually, it's crazy though. I have such a great crowd of musicians that we've built together, and they're all. I mean, Barcelona is so international. It is. I mean, everywhere is from everywhere else. I mean, it is the most international city I've ever lived in. I feel, and I lived in New York too, and I feel like that's international. But I feel like Barcelona is more international than New York City in that sense that I don't know. I guess because you get more different Europeans, and it's a little bit tinier. It feels like maybe that's why it is. But I love New York. I mean, I really, really do. Maybe I just didn't spend enough time there.
Yeah,
but
I think too. You know, like Europe. Like I spent some time in Paris and Germany, and
yeah,
it's just different. Like if you're in New York, you know, it's just real kind of keep your eyes to yourself. If you're in LA,
yeah,
it's kind of like, okay, who am I going to impress? And you're in New Mexico,
yeah,
you know, you're all chill. And it kind of
yeah.
reminds me of like a New Mexico vibe, but with it, like you're saying, with an international audience there.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny you say that. It's like, I mean, yeah, when I'm in New York, I always feel like I got to be like pretty badass or impressive. And it's also, they have such a strict attitude. It's really super business when you get there. It's like people are on the go and they're hustling. And like, I look at everybody, it's like, man, I can't believe I need to hustle a little bit more. I need to work on my walk a little bit, you know? It's just like people bumping into me and they're like, hey! I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's like, don't apologize, yell at me back. And I'm like, okay. That's how New York goes. But I think music, I think that, you know, your last interview was really, really great because I think that the Rumble really did give me a huge amount of confidence. I was at Sundance when it premiered. And when I saw it, I cried. I was so thankful to have and understand that connection a little bit better because it feels like I can relate with it a lot more. And it feels like it's in my blood, you know. I grew up singing ceremonial songs, and it's like I hear a lot of it coming through my music. There's this one song I sing that everybody really, really loves. It's called Black Blood, and I wrote that song about 10 years ago, and it's funny, like, out of all of from the 10 years I've been singing that song, people have always been like, that's my favorite song. It's like, oh, that song's so cool. And it's just like, that's the one. And that one's filled with passion, and that one has so much of my Taos songs, ceremonial songs in there that I didn't realize. And then, like, people in Barcelona kind of was like, oh, that song sounds very Indian and very powerful. I was like, what? And I think it's because it's this part in the song which I didn't. It was just totally subconscious. It's like it's just like get into the city and abandon some more. I find out the feeling again, Lord of the storm. It's it's that
Yeah.
And then there's also the other part where you know, I think that like when you listen to Taos flute. I do something with my voice and people are like, what is that from? And I was like, well, that's kind of like how we sing in our village a little bit. And that's also kind of from the Taos flute. And I was like, I'm building a fire. I'm building a fire. It's hard. It's hard. It's that, the little bit, the oh. So I think
that
a lot
gave
of
me the chills. Really, I mean, I have chills because I know that sound. And
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
wow.
It's cool, and that all kind of. And the funny thing is that I've realized being here is that you don't. I've learned that I don't really write songs. Songs write themselves, and I feel that like that always happens like really, really late at night. I mean, like right now, because it's 4 a.m. right here, so I can't sing too loud, but it's like, it always happens at that time, and I have to be like, that's the sound. And
Yeah.
you know, the one thing that I've had to try to realize is trying to find consistency, because I have a lot of different voices within my music. And like when I wrote Haley, her song, the first song I played you, it sounds a lot different. Like she always makes fun of me when I sing this song called Hold Back that goes, and it goes, I'm just trying to show you I'm not broke. And there's a kind of a weird accent to it, and I didn't plan to have that kind of accent. It's like, for all the times that I've shown, and my heart has always been where it is. I'm just trying to prove it, 'cause I wanna bye. And so with that song, it's funny because like she's like, why do you make your voice sound like wah, 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 wah? And I was like, I didn't plan that, it just came out that way. And I was just like, do you want me to, and I teased her, and I was like, let me just sing like it without any expression. And then I sang it to her like it was like some kind of musical. I was like, I'm just trying to show you I'm not broke. It's like a lot more like musical, and it seems like and that doesn't feel comfortable for me. It didn't feel in the direction that, and I think we're always hard on ourselves, because I know for me, I feel very punk inside, in the sense that I want to be so different, and I need to be different, because I always tell myself, if I can hear that song on the radio, then if I make a song that sounds like on the radio, then why do it at all? Or like when I make movies, it's like, if I've seen that movie before, I don't want to make it. I want to make a movie I've never seen before. I want to hear a song I've never heard before. I know someone ran into the situation where one of my songs sounded like another song, and I played it side by side. I was like, oh damn. And I had to rewrite an intro. And it was like so embarrassing for me. I was just like, oh no. It's like, here's my ego crashing down and thinking that I'm so original. And I know we're not, but it feels, I think it's the right attitude to have, to be like, because I think you should be confident for your work, because then you're giving respect to your work, right? It's like, if you have to protect your work, and you have to give confidence within it, because you work really hard for it, and you allow yourself, and you got to give yourself credit for being that vulnerable to get there. You know, it's not, I don't think it's easy being vulnerable with music. I think it's easy to play music sometimes, but I think being vulnerable with music is a lot harder, and those are the things that I try to teach myself. And I think when I first started singing, I got drunk a lot before, because I was so nervous, and alcohol would just make me it would be like a great excuse, you know, just to get up on stage and do the craziest shit. But then I just didn't want alcohol to define me as a rock artist. I didn't want that to be like, I don't want to be like, hope, because like my big dream is just to go on tour and connect with other people and sing with them, and you know, that's all. And I don't want to have alcohol be in between that. And you know, I want to be able to stand up and do that as myself, as a person, as a human being. I want to be able to say, I did it without it, and I'm the artist I am today because I worked hard for it. And I want to be able to be depressed and make songs about heartbreak without getting there and be like, oh, let me take some shots and then I'll be emotionally depressed. It's like, let me allow myself to be happy in my own life and also perform just as good.
Yeah. You know, I think alcohol, rock and roll, sex, drug, and rock and roll, right? That's always kind of been intertwined. But, you know, I think you got a great point is, you know, you have to find that balance. You know, a lot of times what I'll use alcohol with is like just to socialize. So I'll have a drink in my hand, but I'm running this whole production and I got to be really on cue about what's going on. And that's all it is. You know, it's kind of like a prop. I have it there. Looks like that's what I'm doing, but I'm not necessarily, chugging these down. It's just like, okay, by the end of the night, it's super warm and it's still full. But,
Yeah.
it does kind of tinder your creativity process sometimes. And it does give you like the liquid courage, they say sometimes, but, I
And
think you're awesome when you're clear headed.
yeah, and I don't think there's anything really wrong with it. I love bars. I mean, I've made some of the greatest connection within bars. I met my girlfriend in a bar. I met some of my best friends in the bars, and like, um, I realized I have a problem, and I thought I could be defeated. I thought I could be invincible. I thought I could be, I was just like, not all Native Americans can be alcoholics. Like, I can have a drink and not be an alcoholic, and then I ended up turning into one. But I'm not like addicted to alcohol. It's not
Yeah.
it makes it easy for me to quit. Like, I said, all right, I'm not drinking anymore, and I didn't have any cravings. It was really easy.
Yeah.
But I think I think you have to kind of understand and allow yourself to be like, you're gonna be fine without it, and you got to just be confident and love yourself. You
Yeah.
know, you're drinking for wrong reasons, and you're doing things just to hide and run away. Like, and especially in our Pueblo, we have that saying that's like, be a man. Like you lived up in the mountains, and you were a man, and you became a man. And my mom always says like, "Asemwama," it's like man up. And I think it's important. Like those teachings, being from Taos, and just respecting my village and respecting my mother, respecting my family. I have to be a man enough to, do these things, like
Yeah.
talk to people or deal with these consequences in the way for you to develop.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you sharing that part of it. And I know for the Pueblos, we're kind of we have this balance of how much we can communicate and how much we can't. But knowing that you can communicate that in a way that's people can relate, is good, and that you're sharing that with that global community, that those good intentions, those good teachings are something that really this world needs right now. And I
Yeah,
really
it's that.
appreciate, you doing that, and staying true to who you are. It seems like you're pretty confident in who you are. And it really shows in your music. And other thing I was going to say about your music, or ask you, you talk about film, going to school for film. I can really see within you, like just in your discussion, how you are behind the lens and you were filming something, and how you have to create these different moods. You're very, you adapt that to your music very well. You're able to set those moods, and you
Thanks.
understand that. And I think that takes a lot of musician years to figure that out. And it's like you got this control on two artistic fronts, and they really work well together for you.
Well, I think I learned that from a lot of my uh, being a music video director in Nashville. I learned that a lot from my clients, and you guys should give them a follow. The Foxies, I think they taught me a lot within confidence, and how Julia just kind of goes out there, and you look at her and you're like, whoa, she was just born to do this shit. And then I was just like, how do I get there? Or I learned from another of my client, Chloe Gilligan, and she was talking about, she's just like, we were doing a music video, and just like the subtle things, and then she was just like, oh God, I'm hand singing. I was like, what's hand singing? It's like, like people sing with their hands, like. And I was just like, she's just like, it should come from here, and it should come from there. And I was just like, oh man, like your vocals and what you're saying should be directed at the person, and your eye contact should be directed into singing that. And those simple things that I just totally did not get. It just seemed so unreal to me. And I was just like, and then like when you would walk into a room in Nashville, you would hear them, and you would just hear everybody's just heart and soul just being poured out. And you're like, it's like, I never sang a day in my life. I was just like, and I did musicals, and I did like, chorus, and I did a bunch of other things, and I was in an emo band, and like I sang, and I listened to my old recordings, like, ooh. And like that Nashville made me realize it's like I've been singing wrong this whole time. Like I should be really just be vulnerable, and I should connect. I should tell a story, you know. And that was like, I think I learned that from Sundance too. Was the writer's lab. I was writing this story. My script, The Beginnings of My Heart, got into there, and they said that yes, you're using all these beautiful metaphors that come from your creative village, but you got to have some kind of deeper sense within the characters. And, you know, they're just objects all moving around, making this dark story you're telling lighthearted. As it's like, you have to really, really just be vulnerable within it. And I think that's so hard. Like writing the script for that film just ended up being really difficult for me. And it took a lot of meditation, and it took a lot of recovery after to try to understand how to get there. And I think that's what art really, really is it's not about, you know, the fame. It's not about our music can be other things. Like I think rock and roll can just be about energy. You know, that's what I really love about it sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't have to be vulnerable. It can be just energy. It can be just expressive. And I think that's what I really, really love about some of the rock songs is that you can just direct it.
Yeah. Wow. That's really interesting, you know, how you're able to take that away and then put it into your music. You know, that's really great. You know, on the technical side, another thing that I observed was, you know, your guitar playing. You know, for people that are trying to develop their music style, develop their career, develop their technique, you know, it takes time. And I know you haven't been playing too long. You had mentioned when you were on Behind the Mask, but just because you haven't been playing years, you know, decades, there's a lot of time in there. I could tell where you've put the time in, and it's kind of this compressed timeline, right? Instead of, you know, some guitar players, it takes them 10 years to get to this point, or 20 years to get this point. But then there's, you know, musicians that practice day and night, and they get there quicker. And like after a certain point, like you get all your technique in, and then you can kind of relax, and like you have enough to get by and stuff. Is that like what was your path on learning guitar?
So it's funny to think about. I'm so dyslexic, you know, I didn't find out I was dyslexic until I was 14. To know how to read or write anything. And so when you tell me to play, you know, A chord, C chord, G chord, I still just don't know. My brain doesn't connect with the letters within the sound of music. It doesn't, I mean, with being dyslexic with math is easy because having dysgraphia is what it's called when you don't know how to use numbers really, really well. So I can do cinematography, and I can just like tell you all the mathematical equations, how to light up a whole scene. But when it comes to guitar playing, I make up these weird chords, and like when I'm with my band, they get frustrated with me because they're like, when I play this, they're like, and then they're just like, what chords are those? I was like, I don't know. And they're just like, man, we gotta figure it out now. Thanks, bro. And it's like, and then I kind of trust the sounds, and I kind of trust the instincts of where your kind of fingers go, and then you just kind of make up and fool around. And I think the one thing is that I don't think myself as a very good guitarist, but I think that that's okay. You are making sound, and it has to be you. I realized making the album, we got to a point where just like, you know, you should have somebody else just record all of your guitar parts because you're not very good at it. And I'm like, when I listen to the song, I'm like, this is missing a lot of something. And then I realized, you know, I was listening to like the masterclass of Tom Morello, and he was just like, it's like, never do that, like blah, blah, blah. It's like, he's like, you got to put yourself in there. It's just like 100%. You're like, it's just like, he was talking to us, like, the producers tried to tell me that I was not on tempo. and I was playing above the tempo. And I was like, well, you know what? I was like, people seem to like it live, so I don't see what the problem is. And then they came in, they tried to trick me. And they were like, it was just like, hey, something sounds different. And I was like, I knew it. I was like, you changed the tempo, didn't you? And then he's just like, yeah. I was just like, change it back. I was like, and from that day forward, that problem was never, ever done again. I was just like, we always do it my way. And I was just like, because it's me. I was like, you can't take away who I am in music. And I'm like, it's like, yeah, Tom Morello, you're right. It's like, if I just want to play 2 chords and look angry in somebody's face and be punk rock about it, that's me. And I think that's what I want to do. It's like, I want to be able to stay there and be confident on stage and play 1 chord very angrily and look into somebody's eyes and say, I'm doing this and you're here with me and we're doing this together and we are feeling excited. Let's fucking rock out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get it. I'm kind of the same way. I get my drummer and my bass player very frustrated sometimes because they both come from school. You know, I think my drummer was in marching band, and my bass player is actually a music teacher, and I just don't know anything about theory, and I just kind of go with the flow, and I'll change time signatures, and you know he'll know a song, and he goes, no, it has to be this chord. This is the chord, and I'm like, no, it's this. Let's just do this. So it's like they get frustrated. They're like, that's not right. And I go, yeah, you'll get used to it. You know, it's just.
But it's funny because that's how every successful musician ended up being. You know, a lot of I watch so many. I'm still so insecure all the time. You know, I have to try to understand my insecurities constantly, because when you develop something, a new insecurity comes up, and then you have to understand why. So I'm always trying to watch other musicians, and a lot of them just like, yeah, we still don't know what any of that stuff is. And I was just like, I didn't learn music theory until now that I've made 5 albums. And I like, whoa. It's like, how'd you get through it? You know? And it was really cool because I was watching a lot of live performances on Instagram, and I think I saw Phoebe Bridgers, and she was just like, yeah. I was just like, I'm kind of nothing without my team here, because I don't even know how to turn on my pedals. And I was just like, that was a really embarrassing moment for me. So I have to be grateful to them. And I was just like, wow, okay.
Yeah. I really envy those type of people that can just be creative. But, you know, I spend half of my time being creative, and then they're half trying to figure out the tech side. And it's like,
oh, I know.
It's like, I wish I could just let the tech go and enjoy the music, but it's like, you know, setting up, tuning up, you know, getting everything and situated sometimes, and it just kind of ruins the mood.
Yeah, totally right.
Well, why don't you give us another song?
Okay. Since I'll be giving another song, if you message me, like I said, if you message me right now or after the show, I will give you a link to 2 of the new songs that we just got mixed and mastered in Nashville, and I'm really, really happy about them. And this is another song of it. It's called Leech, and the song is very proper for this background because it's based off of David Lynch movies. Down on the floor, come on girl, give me some more. Please hold me back to survive. 12 steps and acting so clean, dirty thoughts, lead me to lean or to path. I wouldn't mind. So much do I gotta blow, and in order to take you home, I made up my mind, cross the line. What you doing on that stage? 'Cause I see it. Girl, I watch ya. Fuck yours. I'll wait 6 weeks more for you to open the door. The clock is killing my mind. My blues is gonna explode. Room filled and all alone. My brain is only but mine. I'll be your checkered floors, red curtains and coffee and more. Slice of pie in the night. Why they gotta go tease me like that? When I said you only dance, what can I do to make you mine? What you doing on that stage? 'Cause I see it. Gotta watch ya. Fuck, I'm yours. What do you think of 2 of those legs? 'Cause I see it. Gotta watch ya. Fuck, I'm yours. Damn, why gonna misbehave? 'Cause I need it. Gotta watch ya. Fuck, I'm yours. I'm yours. I'm yours. I'm yours. Oh, I'm yours. I'm yours. If it was not awesome. So, if it wasn't at 5 a.m, I'd be yelling it in your face. I will send you everybody the link, and you can hear how hardcore I am about it, and it's super super fun. There's a 1-minute guitar solo of my friend Liam Cloud. You guys should give him a follow. He's really amazing. He's such a great guitarist. He's Filipino and Maori, and he's just so cool. He does this really epic guitar solo. He's just awesome, and it's 1 minute on the song, so you'll hear it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely got to check out some live footage whenever you get somebody to record you when you're doing one of your gigs. I'd love to see some of that live stuff.
Super fun. I would love to jam out with all of you guys. At some point, if I'm ever down, I usually come back for India Market in Santa Fe, and just to rock out with a bunch of you guys would be super fun.
Yeah. We put on this huge event for Indian Market last year. We had like about 300 people at our event. It was pretty awesome. It was a killer rock show. But yeah, and you know, as soon as this COVID thing opens up the world a little bit, we love to head out to Barcelona and maybe do on a production out there with you.
I will totally take care of you, 100%. I will get you a place to play music, and we can jam out, and I can get you some people to help you out, maybe with drums or bass, whatever you want, and we'll have a.
We'll start the planning on that like midsummer, and hopefully we'll be able to fly out there in the spring of next year or something like that, because it looks like this COVID's going to be here through the rest of this year. But definitely we want to get out there and be awesome to do some touring out there.
Hell yeah,
man. I just want to thank you so much for joining us this evening. It was awesome talking with you and getting to know you, and I'm really inspired by what you're doing. It's really some great stuff out there. I think your indigenous perspective and voice is doing amazing things for the globe.
Thanks, man.
So thank you.
Appreciate it. And I love all the musicians who are native out there. I love hearing your stuff. It's really cool. It helps me not feel alone in life. Keep it up so I can continue to fill my ears with so much excitement and pride and love. And thank you so much for having me, man. I really love everything that you do. I love watching the stuff. It's super cool. This is awesome. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for staying up to the wee hours in the morning. I know those are the creative hours for all us musicians, but tell us once again how we can get a hold of you, how we can get your music and all that good contact information stuff.
So my name is Mozart Gabriel. Once again, you can find me all my stuff usually on mozartgabriel.com. You can send me a message, and then I can give you a private link for 2 of those songs that are finished and finalized. They were produced here in Barcelona, mixed and mastered in Nashville. They were mixed by a band called Repeat Repeat, and it's a guy named Jared, and he is so cool, super talented, really, really great guy. Their last album, the Black Keys, the drummer from it was on their album, and the mastering is really cool. So I'm really, really, really excited about it. A lot of the influences were from like Joan Jett, Kiss, and David Lynch, and I'm really excited how it took a year to do this, and I'm finally happy to share these. And so if you message me, I will send you a link for sure. And my album, Eager Within the Fire, should be coming out this year.
Awesome. You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Send Mozart a DM. Let's get that link. I know I'm going to send him one. And if you can do me a favor, Mozart, at the end when we post this, if you can, in the comment section, maybe put links to all the people that you had mentioned to check out. That way we can check them out and support your musical crew out there as well.
Cool. Sounds great, man.
Right on. Well, it's great having you again. Thank you for being on Behind the Mask. We'll definitely have another session with you later on this year, and we definitely want to check in on you, make sure you're doing okay, and see all the cool, exciting things that you're working on and the new album and everything. And when you're ready to release that, if that date comes up sooner than later, make sure you get in contact with us, and we'll definitely have you on and we can promote that.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Right on. Well, you have a great evening, and we'll see you soon.
Rock and roll, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mozart Gabriel. Let's give some hearts and some love.